I take you back to August the 2nd, 2017, in an op-ed written by Ambassador John Bolton. He said then in the Wall Street Journal, some sort of strike is likely unavoidable unless China agrees to regime change in Pyongyang. So we've got that to look forward to. Meanwhile, Kim Jong Un visited China. This is a bit of video footage I came across. You can see the body language, the reception gives a lot away. Kim Jong Un also said the DPRK is willing to have a dialogue with the United States and hold a summit of the two countries. He'd been very quiet in that regard for a while. At the invitation of Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, and Chinese President Kim Jong Un, Chairman of the Workers' Party of Korea, and Chairman of the State Affairs Commission of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, paid an unofficial visit to China from March the 25th to March the 28th. During the visit, Xi held talks with Kim at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, held a welcoming ceremony for Kim before their talks, and they also, together with their wives, watched an art performance together. We speak highly of this visit, Xi told Kim. At present, the Korean Peninsula situation is developing rapidly and many important changes have taken place, Kim said, adding that he felt he should come in time to inform Comrade General Secretary Xi Jinping in person the situation out of comradeship and moral responsibility. Xi made 4 proposals concerning the development of China-DPRK relations. Firstly, continue giving play to the guiding role of high-level exchanges. That's interesting. Secondly, make full play of the time-tested valuable practices of strategic communication. Third, actively advance peaceful development. Fourthly, cement the popular will foundation for China-DPRK friendship. I've spoken a lot about this and written about it, and I still feel it is entirely unlikely that the West has anything to offer the Chinese that can compensate them for the loss of their hinterland, their buffer, and their instrument of attack. One of those myths I wrote in September last year is that Xi Jinping, with some cajoling, can be made to effect a clean break with Pyongyang. Consider that Pyongyang is a buffer state between China and the US, and that Pyongyang is in fact a near-perfect geopolitical attack dog. The attack dog is not on a Chinese leash, but it's surely aligned with this resurgent rising China, whose aim is to surely eject the US and its allies from what it considers its sphere of influence. Just take a look at the South China Sea, where the US and its allies have largely capitulated, and the US is now left performing some half-hearted, and quite forlorn FONOPs once in a blue moon. North Korea, by lobbing those missiles over Japan, is seeking to prize Japan away from its US alliance, something that China is surely trying to achieve as well. When you look at geopolitical alignment, it is entirely unlikely that the West has anything to offer the Chinese that can compensate them for the loss of their hinterland, their buffer, and their instrument of attack. 12th of February this year, I was talking about how President Moonriver will be in Pyongyang before you can pronounce Kim Yo-jong correctly. I was saying that Russia always had their back. China was never interested in bringing him to heel. And I was also then reflecting on the fact that he'd sent his sister as an emissary to Seoul. And I quoted Lao Tzu, water is fluid, soft and yielding, but water will wear away rock, which is rigid and cannot yield. Whatever is fluid, soft and yielding will overcome whatever is rigid and hard. This is another paradox. What is soft is strong. I was saying then in February, South Korea is set to be peeled off, and going by his puppy dog smiles, President Moonriver will be in Pyongyang before he can pronounce Kim Jong correctly. Russia always had their back. China was never interested in bringing him to heel. After all, he is the buffer state between China and more than 30,000 US soldiers parked on their doorstep in South Korea. Going back to September 2017, when he was launching missiles with abandon, I wrote a piece, Screaming Comes Across the Sky. I was talking about Gravity's Rainbow, which is a book by Thomas Pynchon, which is about the design, production and dispatch of V-2 rockets by the German military. In particular, it features the quest undertaken by several characters to uncover the secret of a mysterious device named the Schwarzgerät, the black device, slated to be installed in a rocket with serial number 00000. As the world watches Pyongyang, I cannot help wondering if Kim Jong Un has read Pynchon, which speaks of a screaming comes across the sky, and it is a curve each of them feels unmistakably. It is the parabola. They must have guessed, once or twice guessed, and refused to believe that everything always, collectively, had been moving toward that purified shape latent in the sky, that shape of no surprise, no second chance, no return. And then in November 2010, I wrote a piece, Far Away in Distant Lands Lies the Hermit Kingdom. They all have had tiny little hands like the elves and the shoemaker. And this country has nuclear weapons, and on its border with its neighbor South Korea sit 25,000 Americans.